All right, folks, we are back. Coming up in a little while, John Bolton, former ambassador to the United Nations, will join us. Right now, we're joined in studio by Christopher Hahn, Fox News contributor, political consultant, and former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer.
That's right.
Now, my freezing hand will shake your warm hand. Yours isn't freezing yet.
Not yet.
This studio, as I tell everybody,
and I was outside.
It's a meat locker in here. It's a meat locker. I'm trying to preserve myself, growing old, you know. Anyway, welcome aboard.
Thanks for
coming
having
back.
me. Thanks
All right, so let's talk a little bit. I don't even know where to start. Why don't we start with the poll numbers that are out and showing, first of all, the generic congressional ballot has shifted, and now the Republicans actually have a 2-point lead in conjunction with the decrease of Obama, his approval. More people think he's dishonest and untrustworthy than ever before. In every poll, his approval rating is at an all-time low. Do you attribute all that to if you like your health care, you could keep it, and the disaster?
I think the rollout of the health care plan has been poorly managed, to say the least. And I think that has almost everything to do with his poll numbers dropping, especially considering, in October, we were all talking about the government shutdown and blaming the Republicans, and Ted Cruz was the most hated man in America. And as soon as that ended, the Obamacare rollout was brought to the attention. And quite frankly, Republicans should be very mad at Cruz for causing that shutdown, because they would have had another 4 weeks of this, and God knows where the numbers would be today.
Well, you could say that Cruz caused the shutdown. Of course, Cruz was right in that this was going to be a terrible disaster and should have been killed. But Cruz did not shut down the government. Barack Obama shut down the government by failing for the first time in recent history not to negotiate on issues regarding the debt ceiling increase or a government shutdown. He gave nothing, where I could cite other presidents who have given much.
There was nothing to negotiate about. They wanted him to end the health care law, which he's not going to do.
No, they did not want him to end the health care law.
That was Cruz. I watched at least 10 hours of his stupid filibuster, and he quite frankly was talking about the health care law. So unless during the 24 hours where he stood there with a pee bottle under his pants, he was talking about something else. I watched it.
Okay.
I'm a nerd. I watched C-SPAN all night.
Cruz does not run the House. Cruz ended the filibuster. The House eventually got down to wanting to delay the medical device tax for a year as their demand, not to end Obamacare. And Obama said, no talk, no talk. Wait, let me just finish. So when you say they wanted to end Obamacare, yeah, originally, but not eventually, and it got so to the point where Harry Reid said, why would I take the bill that just passed in the House and open the National Institute of Health to help kids with cancer? I got people who are unemployed on furlough in my district.
We could argue all day about who caused the shutdown. The American people know who caused the shutdown.
Yeah, because the media tells them.
Your listeners know that it was a Republican.
The president
they might
and the
want
Democrats.
to say that it's not.
Well, tell me how they shut the government down.
They wouldn't pass a budget. The Senate passed the budget. They wouldn't pass a budget. They wouldn't agree on raising the debt ceiling, which is a ministerial act in most Congresses. And I know Obama didn't vote for it. Okay, he should have voted for it. He's an idiot for not doing it. But let me tell you, it's a ministerial act that should happen as a course of business in Congress. But these guys who have no experience, Steve, you've been doing this for a long time. We've never talked about the debt ceiling as much as we have in the last 4 years. We've never seen more filibusters.
Well, it's never gone up as much as it has in the last 4 years. Look how much Obama's raised it.
You know what? We got to end the wars. These wars are causing it to go up.
Absolutely nothing to do with it.
$6 trillion of our national debt.
No.
$6 trillion.
The fact is, and I don't want to talk about this that much, but the president said, I will not negotiate, when other presidents have negotiated.
There's nothing to negotiate about.
Really? So when Clinton gave, and when Bush gave, and when Reagan gave.
They didn't have a demand at the beginning of it. They were the gang who didn't shoot straight. Let me tell you something. I see these polls. Let me go back to the polls. I see these polls. I'm worried about these polls. But you know why I'm not worried? They will overreach again, Steve. They always do. I'm counting on it.
You're not
and
worried,
I'm sure it will happen. And you know what will happen then? The polls will change. Because the American people are wishy-washy, and they go back and forth about this stuff. And the next time the Republicans shut down the government, which they'll do again, or they'll overreach on something else. This whole thing, this thing going before the Supreme Court about contraception right now, the American people are not too cool with that.
Really?
They are not.
Really? So they want religious freedom to go out the window so women won't have to pay 5 cents for contraception, right?
They don't want some private sector employer telling women who work for them what they can or cannot do in their free time.
Time out. Boy, that is a great spin. And you know what? If you look at polls, the left is so out of touch. It's only because that Romney, for instance, and the Republicans failed to say, look at the Democratic platform. and look at ours. And you decide who's more in touch. Abortion on demand up to 9 months with no restrictions. The American public is not there. That's the Democrats.
Can I ask you a question?
Instead, the Republicans said, "Ooh, war on women, we better run."
Let me ask you a question.
That's why they lost.
Steve, let me ask you a question. I know you're a pragmatist. In these tough economic times, don't you think people should have a recreational activity that they can afford?
Sex?
Absolutely.
Right.
Why not?
And
we love it. America loves it. It's what separates us from the Middle East, quite frankly. You know what the problem in the Middle East is? Not enough birth control. We need more birth control. We should be exporting it.
So you want to end religious freedom
so
that women won't have to pay $10?
They can go home and pray any way they want, but they don't get to tell their employees what they can or cannot do in their free time. No, they don't. What is this, a paternalistic society? It's a paternalistic society.
In their free time, nobody's telling them they can't have sex.
They never had a problem with Viagra.
Nobody's
they have a
telling
problem
them
with
they can't
female
have
contraception.
Sex. Well, you're on the losing end of this.
I am not.
The American and the Supreme Court will put you on the losing end of it as well.
I don't think so. I think you're going to be quite surprised with what the Supreme Court rules on this. I don't think look, when the church is doing it, that's one thing. When a private company's doing it, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. We'll see
a private company should be forced to hire who the government tells them and provide the benefits the government tells them. Now, when it comes, you need maternity care in your health insurance?
Look, honestly, here's what I would do. We'll solve the whole problem right now. Medicare for all. We don't have to deal with any church. We don't have to deal with anybody worried about anything else. It's Medicare for all. Then you could have your religious freedom, and you don't have to give your
What
employees
about all these people?
You
You talk about a rollout. It's not the rollout. It's people are starting to find who can look at Obamacare. First of all, the millions, and by at the end of next year, we'll probably have 100 million people lose their health insurance, and they're finding higher premiums, higher deductibles, Steve, and they're being forced to have maternity coverage.
I'll make you a promise.
You need maternity coverage? Do you need it?
I don't, but my wife might.
But no. You need a single person. A single male is forced to have maternity coverage. A single male is forced to have maternity coverage. Why?
You know what?
Why?
There are lots of coverages in people's plans that they don't use, Steve.
Really?
We pay for things every day we don't use.
Excuse me.
You're not being forced to do anything.
Oh, absolutely.
No,
you have to have a plan that has maternity coverage. Everybody.
Plans need to offer paternity coverage. And you know what? The insurance companies want that.
What are you talking about?
Steve,
why would a male need paternity coverage?
You know what? We're talking about these anecdotal evidence about paternity coverage and other things. Let's talk about the real things. The GAO has reported that healthcare costs are increasing at the slowest rate they had in 25 years.
That's because nobody's had to change plans to the new Obamacare yet. Just wait.
Well, we have a year. We'll figure it out.
Look,
if they go up, if 100 million people lose it, they're going to lose me.
We're coming back. Christopher Hahn, political consultant, Fox News contributor, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. We have a lot to talk about. Mark Halpern's statement about death panels and much more on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and